Oops. There, I did it. Oh, sorry about that. Just realized I had the sound off. We were just talking about that. Welcome tonight. You can hear me now, I hope. We've got a lot of stuff going on. It's literally been a big, big week for us. Stuff going on behind the scenes. I literally just sat down and plugged in the light and the whole works just a matter of a few minutes ago. So it's literally been a rough ride this last couple days, just busy wise. Give me just a second to make sure I've got everything in sync here on my end. Again, it has been really hectic here. Hopefully everybody else has been having a good week. We've got a lot of stuff that's happened here. I've got a Patreon video for those in Patreon that's already up. All I need to do is literally copy a link to it to the Patreon page as soon as this is up. It just uploaded like 10 minutes ago. I've got the wife here. She's got some stuff to do, so maybe she'll stop in real quick for a minute. We'll see her sliding back across here. It's been a little while. Things have been pretty hectic on our end, so again, things are settled down quite a bit. We still have some things to work at.
We're in the trees.
Yeah, I thought I'd try something different. Hang on, folks.
Should have put like a little fake squirrel.
Get everybody. Yeah, I couldn't find a fake squirrel. There we are. We're kind of like in center there now. Hang on just a second so I can pop back on. Hopefully everybody can hear me now. Everything looks like it should be working just fine. I know I didn't have sound for a second. Again, I literally just hopped in here. Literally, when I clicked the button to start the countdown screen. Let's see here. Duncan, how are you doing, Duncan? Good evening. Hope you are super. We are off to beach. Long 3-hour drive. Yeah, I haven't been to a beach in a little while.
What the hell's a beach?
Yeah, well, we lived on the beach. I lived in the beach down in Florida on Flagler for a while, and
I grew up on the
Gulf
of
Coast.
Mexico.
Yeah. Let's go with the Johnsons. How are you doing? Wales. Yes, I have not been to Wales. Of course, can't wait. Welcome, Average Investor, Hustle and Grind Calgary. Welcome. Hey, Aaron, how are you doing? I saw your Instagram. I will answer that when I get a chance. I haven't even touched my phone in the last probably day or so here. It's just been nonstop for us. I mean, literally right on down. I had employees here till just before, at 6:30, I think Ian left, wasn't it? Yeah, 6:30. So, I mean, I've had people here for most of the day. It's just been a really hectic day. We got a lot done, a lot of things going on, as I said, a lot of new postings, working on our own site. Cross-list-wise, we hope to dump up a whole bunch of listings across the net on other platforms as well as our own. So that's tentatively what's going on. Hey, Carl, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. Do you see how eBay will be adding the sales tax for states onto our gross total for processing, then paying it for us? Yeah, that's kind of... Yeah, somebody did send me that. They even sent me the link, if I'm not mistaken, on that. I don't know. I'm going to have to look into that. Somebody else told me that that's probably illegal, but I don't know the law to say enough on that because we're not collecting the money, but yet we're being billed for something that we don't touch. Now, if we touched it, it's a different story. At the end of the year, I mean, when you're filing it, you're just going to declare that part of that, your total, is the sales tax. And then, again, it's not going to count towards your actual revenue, or at least legally wise, it shouldn't. I don't have a pen here, do I?
You want me to go get one?
Yeah, I'll grab one right here. Let me write that down because I'll call my accountant and ask him on what he says on that now that you bring that up. I was going to look into that. Hang on just a second. Sorry, just one more second. Because technically it's not our gross sales if they didn't collect, or if we didn't collect the money, and if they're paying the taxes. Just like if at the end of the year you're paying... you're collecting for your shipping. At the end of the year, you deduct your shipping costs from your actual expenses or your income. So at the end of the day, it washes out with your shipping. So I don't know how everybody else is messing around with that, but I mean, it's an expense if you're including it in there. Like me, it's still, I could actually make a few cents or lose a few cents on shipping for me. So at the end of the year, we balance all that. Well, it's not done at the end of the year but we balance it all out. So at the end of the day or end of the week or whenever balancing out, we deduct those from our actual income. So, I mean, it's just a number on a piece of paper. At the end of the year, you can balance it all out as far as I would say. So I wouldn't personally dig too much into that. Does that mean you are increasing our gross total that's reported to? Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm saying. The number may be one set number and include taxes and shipping, but at the end of the day, you're not paying income technically on the shipping part of it. in my book. Maybe they're collecting it for the. Yeah, that's a tough one. I'll just have to give them a call on that. But I would say that it's just like shipping. I don't pay anything extra on shipping fees. It's just part of the fees to do this. Yeah, I should have picked a different colored shirt. It's got that green halo.
You big silly head.
Hey John, how are you doing? How should I ship one piece of paper that's an ad? Any advice would be great. I've got a video on how to ship media mail. I think it's the ultimate media mail. Just type that in on my how-to playlist and ship a print ad just like I do sheet music. It works perfectly fine. I do it for everything, paper, comics, whatever I ship. Hey Dom, how are you doing? Haven't talked to you in a couple days. I usually talk to him quite often. I'm telling you, swamped with between family stuff and the dog stuff and all that kind of stuff too. And there's some other stuff going on too. One of my sons has to have. We're gonna have to go to a specialist for some things unrelated to his other issues. So we've been kind of just getting our stuff straight here. Trying to get fourth quarter as big as we can get it, just in case surgery or something has to happen next year. So. Just FYI, I don't want to get into that personal conversation here, but that's what's going on our end. I always put it between 2 sheets of cardboard cut from boxes, receive stuff, and then use supplies. You can use anything, yeah. Literally, if you watch that video, though, I've got literally step-by-step how to do it. Let's get the party started, yeah. Pink song. What is that pink? No, that's, oh, shoot, I can't. Don't Funk With My Heart. I can't think of the name of that. I can't think of the name of it. Or is that her? I don't know.
Pink's got a song about
does
like
he?
that, yeah.
What's the other group? Fergie's in it. I can't think of the name of the group.
Peas.
Black Eyed Peas has a song, I think, similar to that, too. Hey, Penny, how are you doing?
You need a good night's sleep.
Nah, we're fine. Weekend's coming up. One more day. Treasure Experts, welcome.
Oh, yeah, it is going to be Friday tomorrow.
Yep. I don't have much to do this weekend.
The days just blend into one for me.
Rich, how are you doing? On your headset, Carl. Just be careful if you're in the car.
Oh.
Hey, Pat Dees, how are you doing? Welcome. Good evening. David
No sound.
Rubino.
Oh, that was earlier.
Yeah, that was earlier.
Okay.
I'm sure I have sound at this point. If
Just
my feeds.
write everything down.
Yeah, it looks like everybody can hear me. Let me pop back up here because I know we've...
Oh, now you just went all wimpy-wompy.
No, it disappeared. My feed just goes all over the place. I don't know what everybody else is like. I haven't sat down on somebody else's feed while it was live to see what happened, so...
You didn't make a sacrificial,
No. There I go,
Give
yeah.
to the gods.
Did I miss anybody? Yeah. Nora, welcome. David, welcome. Tara Lynn, how are you doing? Here, my vision edges with me. PJ Miller, welcome. Mary, how are you doing? Hey ho, time for the show. Rob, how are you doing as well? Yeah, Marky is here. Mogo on the go-go. On the go-go. Okay, I'm sorry. Hope you leave up that background. Yeah, I like the background. Just clothing-wise, you only can do certain things with certain backgrounds, and that's something you got to learn. I've got a blue background instead of green, which I should have switched.
Green and just be like a little floating head.
Yeah, they sell whole green outfits where you can literally be.
Oh, I forgot what they call those, but the kids want a couple.
Yeah, I got those on the list for Amazon. Bugs Life from Pixar. We saw that. I had the little figures even.
Yeah.
I think we had them all when the kids were younger.
The ladybug and
yep.
the little stinky bug.
Hey, Karen, how are you doing? Karen Frost? Primetime Junior is watching. Is that the one, Dom, that said hi to me on our chat there the other day? So I got to remember that your kids are a little younger than mine, I think. Mary Beth G. Again, Primetime, Dom and me do stuff together as well as Chris, Thrift Shop Hustler. Me and Dom, though, talk quite often. If you haven't checked his channel out, I honestly would recommend it. He's just like me in so many ways. We like the same stuff, both comic book nerds and sci-fi and all the kind of vintage toys and collectible kind of things. We find the same things and have some of the same interests. So if you like this channel, I'm sure you'll like Dom, Primetime Treasure Hunter, as well. He is honestly a good guy. And if you've watched this show for any length of time, I don't do many interviews. I don't do many appearances on other channels or anything like that. In fact, I've turned down almost every one of them, and I've gotten hit up many times. In fact, I got a sponsor offer for a sponsor from some net thing today, and again, I turn all that stuff down. I'm not really interested in messing around or having to advertise for somebody or something like that. No criticism towards anybody who does that. That's just not my thing, I guess. I have been on Dom's. Dom comes on mine. So Chris, same thing. I've been on Wade and Scott's and a few other folks, but that's literally about it. Like 4 channels maybe. Let's see here. Mary Beth G, hello. Arizona, I've been to Phoenix before. Jason Blake, welcome. Coco, just me, Nashville. We've been to Nashville, I think, once or twice.
Yeah.
I know I flew into Nashville once because a flight was canceled and had to land in a different city. Cornelius Devenny, welcome. Steve Elmore, how are you doing? Tun's Queen in the house. Hope all is well. Well, thank you for both of us, I'm sure.
I left my crown upstairs.
Yeah, you don't have a crown. I think she has a tiara, don't you?
No.
I thought we had one once before. Maybe we sold it. I swear we had one. Marion Queen, how are you doing? Primetime Junior.
I don't require a tiara.
Not yet. Peace 3601, how are you doing? Yeah, things have been really busy, and her mom was in the hospital, and now she's in a
rehab place
for a while, it sounds like. So, stuff happens. There's nothing we can control. We're moving on with what we got and not worrying about anything else. So, Ship and Sunshine, welcome. How will we deduct out the sales tax if they are included in our gross to PayPal? There's a line in PayPal that has sales tax on it. It'll just show sales tax collected, just FYI. And you can also use that for shipping and all kinds of other stuff too. You can sort through your PayPal and just do eBay shipments, payments, whatever you want to do. And if it's not set up there, just give PayPal a call. They've done a few things in the past. And again, if you're using the new system, there'll be other things you'll have to do as well. But all that's supposed to be added into eBay. If you didn't know, TerraPeak's going to be part of the eBay page. You won't have to go to TerraPeak anymore. I don't use TerraPeak all that much anyway, but TerraPeak has a paid version, if you didn't know, that offers all the stuff that like basically WorthPoint does. So that's where some of eBay's money went into, is getting this built in so they can collect more money from the paid services on there. If you use TerraPeak, you'll notice that you can only see items, the actual detailed description of any item, if it's 90 days or less, because that's the threshold of eBay. So after 90 days, you're just going to get a screen that says this item not found, basically. And then you can't see anything else other than the thumbnail. So, TerraPeak's not as good. I mean, you can use the same basic information just by looking on eBay. All you're getting, though, is the thumbnails with a basic price and what it's sold for. And in my opinion, with the items, you can't tell condition, you can't tell anything from a thumbnail. So I don't really use TerraPeak as much. It's just, if it's something I know exactly what I'm looking for and there's only one of it or something, then maybe I'd use TerraPeak. But, TerraPeak just isn't as useful as I would hope. Yeah, but Carl, look in PayPal. You can denote that from there too, your sales tax, just like you can other columns in there too. I bring everything in from PayPal in a CSV file, which is an Excel spreadsheet, and then it actually spreads it out across the whole sheet for me. It's comma delimited, which means that whenever there's a comma in the textual file being transferred as a CSV from PayPal to Excel, it'll bop it up into a different column, and it knows how to line them up. So at the end of the day, when you import the CSV file, it's got everything in the correct column. So you can just sit there, hit the auto sum button at the bottom of the column, and it adds up whatever you're doing, sales tax, shipping, or whatever you're doing.
You're like me, you talk with your hands.
Yeah, sometimes I do. You know that. Who is getting the tax money when... Okay, hang on. Let me not miss somebody here. Looks like we lost some... Yeah, we lost the feed for a minute.
Uh-oh.
Kayla Storm Princess, welcome. Carolina Pix, how are you doing?
What kind of dog is that for? Oh, Jinxie.
Little
Chihuahua.
Chihuahua. It's a full-blood, short-haired Chihuahua. She's a little dog. Her eye actually popped out the other day. Out of the socket was...
She has an attitude of a pit bull.
Yeah,
she thinks she's bigger than
she runs is. The house dog-wise. We've got 2 Chihuahuas. One's a long-hair, full-blood, and the other one's the Jinx. Yeah. Henry and Jinx.
Henry's my boy.
In fact, I think Jinx was in the last live show just for a second. She was whining, and we were kind of babying her and making sure there wasn't something going on with her eye again.
Yeah, that's not. Oh my gosh,
yeah,
that's so heart-wrenching.
Wasn't very pleasant. No. Let's just say that. No one here wants to see that again.
Nope.
Let's see here. Larry, welcome, Larry. How are you doing? Michelle, how are you doing? Ellen Reiser, how you doing? She is okay.
Oh yeah,
She's running all over the place. She finally got off the meds. She was on painkillers and amoxicillin, and then we had to put some antibiotic eye salve in her eye too. So we had
that was fun, right?
Yeah, for like 3 times a day, and they were all on different times and everything. So it was a big ordeal.
But she's doing great. She was kicking her little back.
Yeah,
legs.
she's all frisky again. Who is getting the tax money when we don't meet the minimum state collection requirements, and isn't this impacting if buyers choose us? I don't think they are letting us set any tax tables to 0. I'm just going with whatever they do in all honesty, because wherever you buy from, they're going to have to do it as well. Etsy has it. Amazon already has all that stuff set up. There's tables you can put in there. You can go into and set up your settings and set up your tables yourself. You literally, I don't know about putting them to 0 on ones that are required. If it's required for eBay to collect it, there's nothing you can do. Now, in my state, there's like 30 different, basically, tax areas that I have to worry about, and you have to put those all in. Now, there's a big argument on this because I know it's basically the same kind of tax, but if you live in a place, you pay tax to the place you live in already. So if you're paying, like if somebody comes and buys something from my shop online, there's some issues going on right now with this, because if they buy it from my shop online and they're from a different county, their tax may be different than what it is in my county. So, and it goes for the same across state lines. So I've been reading a lot of articles on this, and I know it's still going to happen, but there's some issues. I'm almost positive somebody's going to challenge this thing in California at some point, because that's usually where all the cases against stuff like this always seem to happen, just because there's so many people that live in there compared to the rest of the country. So anyway, CJ Speno, how are you doing? Treasures by Grace, welcome. Minnesota, we knew somebody.
We knew
Russ,
somebody from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not been to Minnesota. Maybe I have now that I say that.
I've thought about Minnesota.
Yeah. Black Crystal Dice, good evening. Matt Horrocks, how are you doing? You're welcome, CJ. Nicker Matt Camera, High Nine Company, thanks for your vids. Hang on just a second. Yeah, Lisa's from, okay, that's right. Vids and the live shows, learning from you folks. Well, thank you very kindly. Real Deal McNeil, how are you doing? That's a catchy name. Sandra Bentley, good evening as well. Vintage Antique Lover here. Same here. Our house is basically a museum if you looked at the house. We've got barristers from hospitals and things with bottles. In fact, I'm going to do a bottle video.
Oh, wow, the bottles.
Yeah, upstairs, and we'll show you just a small assortment. I'm meaning small sarcastically, because this is just one segment of some of our bottles that we have, but she's got I'll show it to you one day. You'll see it soon.
It's real fun moving and having to wrap everything up.
Yeah, we wrapped up hundreds and hundreds of glass bottles, to say the least, and we've limited them down to the better ones too, just because you can only save so much, and we're not trying to be collectors on pack rats.
No,
so.
I'm a pack rat.
Certain things.
I am a huge pack rat.
Certain things, though.
Oh, well, I got too many certain things.
Yeah, I guess that's the problem. Sir William, how are you doing? Ed finally caught a live show. Well, welcome, Ed. Send a message to your eBay whenever you get a chance. Okay, I will check eBay. I'm not always the first one to check eBay messages, just FYI. We've got quite a few people here some days. There's 4 or 5 people that get it. I'll check my notes. Everybody's supposed to leave me notes on that.
I haven't checked eBay in a while.
I know who you are. I'm not going to call out your name because I don't know if that would be wise, but I know who you are. So, Tucson. I have been to Tucson once. Sunday Fun Day, Pamela Saban, Kent Ellis. Good to see everybody here. Again, there's Dom there. Mini Primetime or Primetime Junior.
Right there.
Hang on just a second.
The volume is really low.
It's not in any of the ones I hear, literally. So I'm not really sure. I've not had anybody else say that before about it on post or anything. We're running just full steam. It's all the way up, as a matter of fact. It's all the way up. Literally, it's mass pickup. I don't check the settings. Everything looks fine on my end. I've not had anybody say that. Can anybody else having issues with it? You might want to check your system's sound, not just YouTube's, but check your system sound too. If you're using headphones, I would actually check that too. If you go down to the toolbar, I don't know if you're using Apple or not, but if you go down to the toolbar, just click on the speakers down at the bottom, or you can go into settings and check that too. I have not heard any issues. I do come back sometimes and pull out some of the comments to address, and I have not heard any issues with the sound.
The old SNL skit for the hearing impaired, and he just talks
Oh yeah,
louder.
talks really loud. Yeah, I can't think of that
Good
name.
night and
Garrett
have a beautiful
something maybe.
tomorrow.
I remember those.
Yep.
Back in the day, my mom used to turn that off. She hated us watching that.
Oh, my mom. Oh, I know. I had to sneak around and watch Saturday Night Live.
My mom would turn it off if she saw what we were watching. But they would watch it.
I like John Belushi.
Thank you, Steve. Steve Elmore, thank you. The MT Picker, welcome. Commercials are loud and crispy. I've got a Yeti. I've got it filtered through OSB and everything else. I've not, same one I record all my stuff with. I haven't heard any issues. We do watch every video before it goes up these days, so I don't really know. I would say maybe you need to check on your end, maybe.
This one got me laughing.
Chocolate chip cookie.
I was eating my kid's fresh chocolate chip
Well, that's
cookie.
not nice, Scott. Good evening, Richard. How are you doing, Richard?
I've eaten the kids'
just
cookies
lost it.
before.
Yeah, we've done that. There's a certain chocolate chip recipe that I always love, and
Oh, and I make it for you, or
sometimes.
Oh, here she is.
No, you can see her. She came down. She's a social dog, so if no one's upstairs or the kids are in their room doing their thing,
Here's our
this
little
is
juicy
Jinx
girl.
here.
Yes.
This is the baby, our baby girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's eating it all up.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes she makes noises like a cat, almost like she's purring.
Give a thumbs up for the dog. Oh, she's such a sweetheart. Mwah.
Yeah, her right eye, I'm not going to touch near it, but it was literally hanging out. It was just totally awful.
She's
And
a
she was
daddy's
trying to
girl.
rub it, and yeah, she's a daddy's girl. She usually doesn't leave me alone. She'll probably stay down here now. And,
Oh, she's frisky.
oh, jeez, yeah,
Kicking
she's
them
all over.
little back legs at me.
Let me see where we at now. Yeah, Scott, don't eat all the kids' cookies, though. That's all I can tell you. You can't just have one of those if it's chocolate chip. I love chocolate
Halloween's
chips,
coming
so
up.
yeah, Halloween.
But
We'll have
our
to take
kids are
her.
too old.
We take our kids even at the age they are now too.
That-
There's a candy shop here in town that has like specialty candies and stuff. And we usually just will get, and still even to this day, we've got a big wraparound sofa and we've got a 10-foot movie screen, and we'll just project some movie. We'll watch some movie on it. The other day I watched The Thing, the Kurt Russell movie with the kids.
That's a classic.
That's a classic. Yeah, we own a lot of movies and stuff.
And Wilford Brimley. And
Wilford
our kids
Brimley,
know
yeah.
who he is.
The diabetes thing with Wilford Brimley. If you don't know what that is, type in
gosh.
diabetes and look at the commercials. And I know
And
I'm pronouncing it
YouTube.
differently because they pronounce it differently.
Diabetes.
Yeah, but there's a big thing with Wilford Brimley. If
They
you
made
don't
it
know
into
it,
a song.
there's songs of it. I eat apple pie every day. I mean, unfortunately, I've heard it, and there's a huge following of Wilford Brimley, and I'm just dumbfounded. There's shirts, there's everything.
I know.
You know, I'm just dumbfounded that it's turned into a thing. And
We had Fonzie. They've got Wilford
yeah,
Brimley.
Wilford
Who
Brimley.
knows?
I mean, he plays a good part in the movie. So, but I had to watch it with the kids because it was some big event for Wilford Brimley went on the other day, and we had a house full of kids here as well.
All watching.
Yeah, there was 7 teenagers all watching movies with Wilford Brimley, and started it off with The Thing too. So, and then I had to watch it with the kids as well too. So. Where are we at now? Everybody sounds good to me. Don, what do you make of eBay's new tax collecting announcements? Yeah, I'm literally, I don't really, I'm not going to worry about it, Dom, in all honesty. I'm just going to take it out just like I do shipping charges at the end of the day. And if there's any overage, I'll have to look at it. But I doubt there will be because eBay's just going to collect it and pay it. I don't think it should be put in the gross total. But again, at the end of the year, the accountant's just going to switch it off from one column to another, and it's not really going to show up in there anyway. Because right now our gross includes our postage. So then you deduct postage at the end of the year, and boom, it's all back to normal. So I'm really not going to worry about it. It's not technically an expense, but it's not technically income. I think eBay's doing it because it's probably easier on their tax purposes, and they're not really worried about our personal tax issues. If you don't have an accountant, it might be something you'll have to look into. But for me, it's just a phone call or honestly an email to my accountant. I wrote a note, and I'll just send him an email first thing in the morning and just see what he says on it. I just talked to him as I had payroll come up this week. So we usually put it in on the first of the month, payroll for our employees, and I usually pay them within a day or two. I don't do any holds till Friday or anything else. Just FYI, I've just done that. My guys get paid in cash too usually. There's a couple that get check, and then two of them will get direct deposit. My kids get direct deposit. So just because we all have the same bank, my business accounts anyway.
She won't.
Yeah, she won't leave. She wants to see everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, she's all excited. Yeah, she's the baby of the house. Yeah, I'd be devastated if something happened to her.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, she is the
girl.
baby. She is a good girl.
Who's a good girl?
Do you ship heavy furniture on eBay? I do not ship it. Let me rephrase that. I have had people pick up heavy items at my place. And I've had people pick up items at a warehouse. I've had people pick up stuff at my storage building too. In some cases, I have met people occasionally with some things. I had a fold-down chair. Remember that rocking chair I had that folded?
Oh yeah.
And it was a heavy piece, and I really didn't want to mess with it. So I literally found somebody local. Well, he wasn't really local. He had a cousin who was local, and I ended up local. And I met him at the library. He was there on time, believe it or not. And I don't really do that much anymore, but the gentleman had great feedback, and he sounded very nice. He gave me his phone number, and I called him, and he set everything up. So that was the last one I did. I'll do and mail some items. I just don't ship them, obviously, through the post office because of the 70-pound limit. We've got an account with Airborne, FedEx, and what's the other one? UPS. I got an account with everybody who ships, and I even have one with DHL, believe it or not. And then I have one with a company in England just because I do have a couple people that buy certain Raphael Tuck items from us, and I just bill them to their account, literally, is what I do with it. So for shipping-wise, I don't know how that all works with them. I just know I don't pay a dime, and they don't really transfer money. So they just pay for the item, and then they take care of the shipping with a number they give me. So it doesn't matter to me. The tracking shows up either way. So, it shows it was shipped, and even if it's not picked up immediately, it shows just like if you're doing the scanning sheet for the U.S. Post Office. And I use the scanning sheets. Sometimes I'll have a couple of them, but and then we ship some items through UPS as well, too. So, on a given day, I might have 3 people picking up packages here. Let me see here. Don, when I search eBay for comparables that sold, sometimes there are no results with rare stuff. However, lots time I'll Google the item. Hang on. Google the item, and it shows up including listings that are on eBay. Well, if you can't find the item, worth point is one aspect, and then you've got Terapeak, which will at least show you something that's sold within the last year. eBay usually blocks them off after 90 days. In my book, because then again, they can charge for the service to look at older listings. That's how I see it. Nothing wrong with them doing that. It's just their business model.
She's licking all over my
Yeah,
hand.
she's all excited to be up here. So, I mean, I use whatever source. Like my stuff with paper and stuff. Postcards, I talked about hip postcards in my Patreon group. There's other platforms. Just know the other platforms. Like with records, I use eBay, Discogs, PopPsych, Rare Northern Soul UK, which is a site, Craig Moyer's site, and there's one more I use too. So I've got like 5 sites just for records that I use. And between those, I can come up with almost any record price I need. Like if it's modern day trade cards, I know all those price-wise pretty much, like Star Wars and stuff like that. Victorian trade cards, I use eBay, and just personal experience, because we've sold, I don't know, 10,000, maybe more than that, to Victorian trade cards. Maybe 15 or 20,000.
One or two
an hour maybe, but not, yeah. I mean, there's days when I've sold 110, 120 trade cards in just one day, and that's just trade cards. I'm not even talking about postcards or anything else we sell.
We'll trade those for Weebles, but then
Yeah.
I'd keep the Weebles.
She would keep the Weebles.
Yeah.
She's got a huge collection. Again, she's going to be doing a video with just Weebles in it, and my son's going to talk about some, my son's really good with helmets and things like that too, so if you like military, yeah. Mario, my youngest son, will be on a video with me, and we're going to show you some examples, real-life examples, so we're not just talking, and then we're going to show you some solds and things like that too, but you're going to get to see the ins and outs on helmets in person. We'll have them right here in front of us. We've got 50 or 60 helmets, literally, in our assortment here, all original vintage pieces. Obviously, we can't show them all, but you'll see them maybe in another video. I've got headgear and belts and buckles and just you name it and stuff like that. Same with toys. I've got more toys than I know what to
I
do
love
with.
vintage toys.
Yeah, we've got a lot of vintage toys. On higher dollar stuff, we keep stuff occasionally. We just had to up our insurance as well too, just because of some of those issues. Plus, we've got I keep a huge collection in a bank vault of some things, just because there are a lot of them and,
It's
and
for my
stuff
pet
like
rock
their
collection.
pet rock collection.
It's really valuable.
Yeah, you never know; they could be worth something. The sad part is the person who came up with the pet rock made a couple $1 million
got
off
that
of it.
right.
So, it may sound funny, but it only has to be kitschy or
Yep.
unique once to make enough money to reinvest that money in something else.
Like the wacky wall whacker.
Well, yeah,
wall
those are
walkers.
still around, believe it or
Yeah,
not.
I used to get them in cereal.
General
if you were
Mills
lucky.
Foods, yeah.
And
yeah.
then me and my sister would fight over them.
They'd stick on the glass and you'd pull a leg off or a
Yeah.
tentacle and stuff. I remember those too.
They'd get all hairy from the carpet.
Yeah, and then they were gone. But you could run them
Yeah.
underwater, and I never knew that. Where are we at here? Cornelius, let's see what he's got to say. So everyone, I found a great channel. Oh, okay. Thank you. Check it out if you want. Yeah, I do. Again, there is a video. It'll be up as soon as this thing is over. It'll take me like 3 minutes because literally it's uploaded. I've got the thumbnail I just did just before the show, and it's all done. I'm going to touch on some other opportunities in that video for those in Patreon because I know there's quite a few on here right now. And we're going to touch on cross-listing, addressing some questions, and I got a whole new thing I'll be asking for in that video too that I think will be helpful to a lot of people to really kind of knock the door off some things for you on pricing. And again, it's just coincidental that it's pricing. Yeah, WorthPoint is better than Terapeak only if you've got the paid version of WorthPoint, or if you have the regular version of Terapeak. Terapeak you pay, you can get the same thing basically on WorthPoint, at least just for eBay listings. WorthPoint has other listings, if I'm not mistaken, on there too. It's kind of like a Pop Psych for a bunch of stuff. Pop Psych just does records, and it doesn't just pull from eBay, believe it or not. So, and I don't know how the deal works with eBay for the legality or any of that stuff. Never checked into it at all, honestly. James Chrisley, how are you doing? Southeast Ohio. So you would be down over towards, oh geez, I can't think of a town over there. Well, we go down to Columbus quite often, so I would take it you're probably farther south and east of Columbus. Columbus is kind of down in the center, about 3 hours down. We go down there quite well. We go even far. We go down to Hocking Hills.
I love Hocking Hills.
In fact, I put some clips from our Hocking Hills trip up on there in one of the videos we have.
And was it the Wild Buffalo or something? I forgot that.
There's a place in Hocking Hills that sells
best burgers.
I can't think of the name of it. We've ate there every time we
That's
go
Buffalo
there too.
meat.
Buffalo's in the title of the restaurant, and you can see it from the highway. But they serve buffalo burgers, and it's probably the best burger I've ever had for any kind of burger. In all honesty,
that's a good burger.
and they had some real good fish sandwiches too. But they're freshwater fish, which I like better. Mike, how are you doing? First live. Well, welcome, Mike. Just in time flipping. How are you doing today, sir? Farshad, how are you doing? Our prayers are with you always. Well, thank you very kindly. You can't control what happens when family and all that kind of stuff. So the only thing I can say is family is number one for us.
Yeah.
If I need to move or leave or do anything for one of my kids or the wife, with this job, I can just do it anytime I want. I don't ever have to worry about anything because I always have somebody else who can fill in for me every single time. I can't say as any time we've not, and when we go on vacation, we don't even have to close down the business. We don't do anything different. It stays just as it is because I've got people who come in here while we're gone and they'll list and they'll pack up and ship and the whole works. So we haven't had any issues. Yeah. We've been on vacation. Nobody would even know it, literally, because it'll look just the same. I mean, there's employees here just like normal, and one person's in charge, and the whole works. Most everybody here can do almost everything. It's just the way it helps. I mean, there's no other way to really do it properly.
I think she left.
Or she fell asleep.
Oh, no, she
I
didn't
hear
hear whining.
Sandra, I see you use first-class shipping with tracking for postcards. Are buyers willing to pay this if they only pay all the time? When a buyer buys something, they're figuring in shipping. For shipping something, the cheapest I think nowadays is $3.79, if I'm not mistaken.
Let me go check on it.
Yeah, we're paranoid with the dog, so one of us always, if we hear her whining too much, and she might just want attention. She's like that. Yeah, I don't ever worry about that. I sold a postcard today for $1. No, it wasn't $1.79. What was it? $2.79 I think it was, and they spent $3 something to ship it. I sell postcards on other sites, so this is just the policy I have on eBay, just to keep my status. I know people say it's not that big of a deal these days, but you get higher ranking. People look at it better when you have a better overall score. I don't have any issues. The discount does help. It's a couple $1,000s at the end of the year, close to 3,000 or more I get in credits, in discounts from top rated plus status. So, it seems like pennies to some people, but when you sell a ton of stuff, $3,000 a shot is a bunch of free money. Just like having several anchor stores, we save almost $2,500 for a second anchor store, just because of listing fees are cheaper with the anchor store for the listings over 10,000 listings. So anyway,
she won it up with Henry. She couldn't,
oh my God,
she couldn't quite jump on the sofa.
Sometimes our dogs are pathetic, but we've babied them a little too much. Yeah, hit the like button if you hadn't hit it. I'm terrible on even looking at that sometimes, I know. So we're not going to have a super late show tonight. We've got some things going on after this still tonight that I have to do and finish up. I've got a couple commitments on the side here. I do have permission now. We're going to go into a couple antique malls here real soon here. I've got permission, full-fledged. The box one, I've been going back and forth. The owner of the company's been on vacation for 2 weeks, so I don't know. I might
nice.
Well, we can go if we wanted to, but I may just go buy it, film it outside if they're not going to allow me to go inside. I don't know why they wouldn't, but if that's the case, or I'll talk to another one that gets me the end cuts. And I want you to see what end cuts are. Because,
the bubble wrap?
yeah,
oh, I love
we've
those.
made furniture. I mean, they're huge. I mean, if you saw one, you'd be shocked at how little you can get them for.
You could just make a bed out of that.
Yeah, they're huge. They're
and then pop
big.
them when you get bored.
They'll take you forever. They're huge. Bob Grant, Bob's World, how are you doing? Hang on, let me get down before this thing disappears. Lady Luck Junk, welcome. Chris is the thrift shop hustler, Sir William, right there. Ed, thank you very kindly. It wargs. I'm not sure how I'm going to even pronounce that. Thanks for all the free knowledge. Well, you're welcome. Sounds fine, sounds fine, sounds fine. Yeah, I would check your own personal laptop or something. That would be my guess, because everybody else is saying the same thing. And I listened to this and checked it out many, many times, not because of complaints, just because that's something I do.
I have dog hair in my nose now. Not that I'm complaining. At least she's okay.
Let's see here. I missed some. I'm sorry. Yeah, my feed just bounces all over. Let's see where we at. Hang on just a second. Naomi Jones, welcome. Sunday Fun Day, we've called. Seattle here. Promoted listings have caused problems. I'm not using promoted listings at all. I'm not going to touch them. My sales are up. My sales have not dropped, dipped, anything with removing promoted listings whatsoever. I won't use them again. It was just me paying them. Literally, the problem with promoted listings is they change the whole setup. They can suppress listings if they don't think they're relevant anymore. What they're doing, they've turned it into a buy box like on Amazon. That's all I see it for now. So if you pay for promoted listings, it's basically like paying for the buy box, in my opinion. Again, this is my opinion. Because if you've paid attention, I've dug into that, and I'm not even going to mess with it anymore, because everything I see doesn't hold water with what they're saying, especially the whole. I don't want to get in the ad blocker again, but I know what it does, and I know that 80% of the population has the ability to block it, or 80% of the ad blockers block them all. And it's just going to get worse because now there's browsers that block them. Your anti-spam and spyware can block them as well. So it's not just ad blockers. There's 3 or 4 different assaults on these. It's a huge industry. People are making millions of dollars of blocking all these ads. So, I mean, it's not going to go away. It's been around forever, and you know, the honesty issue is the big thing. I had some folks that were wanting me to turn some stuff into eBay, and then after the CEO step, now nobody trusts them and thinks they're going to be sold, is the big rumor I've been hearing, is they're going to be a buyout with eBay. You never know anymore. I would have never said that, but you never know. We're again broadcasting our stuff to everywhere, our own site. So if something happens, I'm not really too much worried anymore at all, because as time goes by, I cross-list stuff. And as they cross-list, I'm selling more and more off of eBay and spreading out. So other sites I build up, and if eBay, starts to wane, I'm still not losing any sales. Again, because people can buy the same things on many different platforms nowadays. Heather's Menagerie, welcome. The funny thing is I've been a vintage and antiques dealer for years, but now modern, contemporary, sleek look in my home So I have enough with my work. Yeah, I don't. We're both open to many things.
I like the
Eclectic.
1950s and 60s furniture, the atomic era.
Yeah, we like the atomic. Our
I
table.
don't have it, but I like it.
You got the kitchen table's
Yeah, but
atomic.
I'm talking about like the sofas.
Yeah,
and
well,
the chairs.
good luck finding one of those.
If I could go back in time, and have money and then go back in
Well,
time.
yeah, well, nowadays we don't have to worry about it. Rick Duke, how are you doing?
Be getting a lot of weebles too.
No sound issue. Most channels on YouTube are much louder. I can't tell. I mean, it's up full blast. It's on full. I don't have any issues. If I want it to blare, I can. The only thing I've ever had complaints about is that my end credits were too loud, and I turned those down to the 52 mark on my sound. So I can't tell you other than that. So I don't record at full steam or double the sound intake or anything like that. I know you can do that. It's just not my. It's literally straight out. I don't do much editing on the sound, literally. Let's see. Answered that. Any suggestions on which carrier to use and which services to select? You can freight stuff if it's a heavy item. We've had a semi-truck pickup from like DHL and stuff. Remember the dump bin for that in the movie films and stuff? They picked it up.
Yep.
Not only did they pick it up, but the person was paid to crate it up. We shipped some nitrate film not too long ago, and it was all stuff that it's hazardous and can only go ground and all this stuff. They handled everything.
Yep.
If it's something big and it's going to go freight, chances are the person buying it usually has a freight account. Most of the big items I think we've ever sold, other than some chairs and things like that, went to another antique dealer who ended up selling them somewhere or repaired them or whatever he did to them or she did to them. On stuff like that. UPS I've shipped big items to. Again, they're here like a couple times a week, so I don't even have to pay for a pickup. I just have to, put it in so that they know it's going to be a big item and the size and all that stuff. You can take them down there and drop them off too. Don't rule out like DHL and stuff like that. Don't think that even some of the business companies, if you don't know what backhaul is, if you really want to get cheap on some of this, you can do backhaul with some companies, and we've done it in the past here and there on some items. Basically, a semi-truck goes and delivers something at a location, and then they got to take the truck back. So what they try to do is book it up with whatever they can find to backhaul to another location, and many times you can piggyback on a backhaul. I worked for a Pilot for a little while, which is a trucking company, as a general manager. I ran a store for them for just a short time. After like the third or fourth robbery, I just couldn't do it. But the point of it is, though, that backhauling is something else you can do, too. So let's say I need a pallet of boxes I'm going to buy with somebody else, and we want to split it up. I can backhaul that from somewhere else, possibly. It depends. You've got to look into that kind of stuff. But, there's other ways than just using the standard shipping service. Like DHL has some options. We did Rule, which is another local one when you were in Mississippi that did backhauling from where we live to Jackson, which was their hub. And then if it was, going out from somewhere from there, we could arrange it from there, or people would pick it up in other cities that way too. So just FYI, there's more ways to do it than just that. I'm just catching up on the comments and questions myself, but if you get a chance to get to me, is there anyone you could address variations listings and maybe get a conversation started? Variations I see constantly. Let's say you've got a listing of showbiz action figures. You can't do a variation for Batman, for Robin. Those are all different figures. The only variations you can do is I could do this shirt with a blue background, a red background. It has to be identical every other way. That is a variation. I see people doing a variation for different comic book numbers. Not allowed. I see variations for DVDs of different versions of different DVDs. Like the thing will say, pick your DVD, and there'll be like 50 of them, and they want you to pick. None of those are allowed as variations. None of that. A variation is literally like this shirt in small, medium, large, extra large, extra large. That's a variation. Nothing else basically counts as a variation. Now, if you're doing a football team and you've got a helmet and the only difference is the logo, that is one area that you're allowed. But there's only a few areas that'll even allow that at all. I see people doing it in toys and comic books. That'll all get you in trouble because you're not allowed to do it. That's circumventing the fees. And there's even a place to report that because it's offering choices. You cannot offer a choice on a listing. A choice means something different. Now, a variation means a color, a size, or something like that. A variation has to be the identical same item. You can't do different shirts and say they're the same. You can't do anything different and say it's, a variation of it. It doesn't work that way. Books, you can't do variations. Now, you can do a variation on a book for a condition. Like, let's say you got 5 copies of the same book. You can do a poor copy, a good copy, a very good copy, a near mint copy of that same book in the same listing where they have to change it because that is a variation of the exact same book. And again, those books all have to be identical. So if one has a dust jacket, they all have to have a dust jacket in that listing. I mean, that's as simple as it is on that. They have to be identical items. I see people doing roller skating labels, and they've got like 10 different roller skating labels in there. Against the rules, get you in trouble because you're circumnavigating the system to save your change on a listing fee. And that's what eBay takes it as, stealing from the system. And literally that's why you can report it. If you click on report, you'll get listing practices, and then there's one offering choices. Circumnavigating the fees and then choices. So, I'm just telling you, that's against the rules. I report some of them. Many other people report some of them. I get people pointing them out and asking me, is this a violation? Yes, I'll tell them if it is. So I wouldn't do it personally. I don't violate eBay rules or systems. They're in place for a reason. They help me. They help you. They help everybody. Because other people will have an unfair advantage if they're doing variations for things they're not allowed to. Plus, they're not paying. They're cheating the system. I just list them all. If the condition's different or there's a corner missing off something, it's a different listing. It's not the same card in my book. So I don't mess with doing that. I don't have any variations up at all on eBay whatsoever on anything. Even on my other stores, even the wholesale items, I have no variations. I do not use them. I don't sell clothing or anything that usually would have a variation ability. So just FYI. Bundling's a different story, though. Super finest 239 Dyslexica, I guess, just took over. Is anyone having issues with eBay shipping? I charge one price and see an upcharge after I sell it. I have not seen anything like that. I've had somebody else tell me that happens. Depending on what you're listing, I notice sometimes that it'll bill people. Again, we had some issues with them allowing me to do a media item in another category. They billed the person for media, but then when it came time for me to print it, they wouldn't allow me to do it. So at the end of the day, eBay credited me the difference. I paid it on PayPal, and I mailed it off anyway. But there's some things like that they're trying to stick to the category. So I would look into that. I would also look into the weight. So when you're actually going to do your label, is it the same weight you put in eBay that you're coming up with at the end? Are you adding in your shipping cardboard or whatever you're wrapping with? So let's say the item weighs 10 ounces. You've got cardboard and wrapping. You might be 2 more ounces. So at the end of the day, if you're scaling it and your number doesn't match what you had in before, maybe you put the wrong weight in it to begin with. Because I do calculated shipping for everything. So if it's calculated, I have not had any issues with the shipping that I can think of at all, other than the media junk that they did without announcing it. I don't mind them doing something, but they sure darn well better tell everybody. Let's see, we almost got 150 people. If you haven't hit that like button, hit that like button for us there. It does help out the channel. We're not going to go much longer. We're going to be about another 10 or 15 minutes again. I don't usually cut it off this early, but we do have a lot of stuff going on this week.
I have to check our youngest son. He wasn't feeling well, and
he's missed a lot of school.
Bye, everybody. So. Good to see you. And good to read your
read
comments.
The posts.
See ya.
I'll be up in a few. But anyway, let's see. Promoted listings still an A. Yeah, I'm not touching promoted listings, as I said. No promoted listings here. My sales are up. I don't have any issues, so I'm not going to use them. I don't feel comfortable with them. Even their explanation doesn't match. I don't buy the blockage amount less than 2% because, again, that's a suggested number. Again, I could suggest anything. It doesn't mean it's true, so... Yeah, her eye popped out of the socket. Not sure how we just kind of found it. My son came screaming in at it was like 12:45, almost 1 o'clock in the morning when it happened. Hang on, hopefully my feed. John Carpenter's The Thing with Kurt Russell was the best. Yeah, that is the best version. Now, I've seen the 50s black and white, and that wasn't bad. I remember it when I was a child seeing that one. And I've seen the newer one, too, which takes place like on the Norwegian aspect of it. I didn't care for the newest one. I heard they're making a 4th one, but I don't know if that's a go or not. Texas Val, we have a media room. Just watch the older version of Body Snatchers. That's with I think Steve McQueen maybe's in that, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think Steve McQueen's in. Oh, I'm thinking of the Blob. You're probably talking about the Donald Sutherland one then, with the Body Snatchers. I'm sorry. In fact, Leonard Nimoy's in there too, if I'm not mistaken, in the Body Snatchers. The one that I remember. I know there's the newer one too. Kim Basinger, I think's in it, which isn't a bad one either. Pamela, well, thank you very kindly. Today I got a payment hold. Carolina Picks hold on PayPal. Called them. They said it was eBay. Called eBay. They said it was not them. Hold was gone after I printed the label. Crazy. Probably a glitch, I would gather, in my book. Once before I went to transfer, it was a lot of money, so it was like $5,000 or something like that, from my PayPal account to my banking account, because we only transfer like the end of the week, or if we've got a lot going on. And it gave me a hold on the transfer. It literally held that money. And then I didn't bother calling because I didn't really need it at that point. But it was cleared off in like a day or something. I never even checked into it again. But if they held it for more than that or something else, I would have obviously looked into it. Carl met Wilford Brimley at a horror convention. Was awesome. He was grouchy as hell, though. Yeah, I could imagine. I mean, we've met working at Disney. I've met a lot of famous people, and they get hit up all the time for autographs and all kinds of stuff. I'd hate to be at dinner with my wife or something, and kids, and just trying to have a normal day out and be bombarded with a bunch of stuff. I mean, that's just my opinion. I know they're doing it, and they know they're in the limelight, but I mean, if somebody's like sick or in the hospital and all these people are just trying to get a photo, I mean, that's kind of repugnant in my opinion to some extent. I love sugar, LOL. Nothing wrong with sugar. Wilford Brimley has been old forever. He was in the Bartles and James commercials, I think, even too. Bad Bowel. Tea Cakes. Hello from UK. Taking a 1910 Hardy rod and an 1805 oil on canvas. J. George for valuation tomorrow. Well, $60 you can't really go wrong on. I'm worried about how to tell what was sales tax if eBay PayPal doesn't separate it as something I can sort on in Excel. You can sort those on Excel, Carl. I mean, I do it all the time. It's just a matter when you import it as a CSV, comma delineated file from PayPal. It'll bring it in. You'll import it into your Excel program, and it'll literally be a spreadsheet. Now, the columns you'll have to spread up the titles so you can see and read everything. I then go ahead and save it, and then you can auto sum your columns. Go down to the very bottom of the page, like on our eBay or our PayPal for the monthly. I pull them up every month. It's like 4,000 entries on my PayPal account for each month, and that's average. So I literally just zoom down to the bottom and auto sum each column, and then I just go from there. And once you auto sum them, I'll just you can link them straight from another page on Excel. So I'll literally do the equal sign, tab over to the page I want, and click on the number, and then boom, it transfers the number. So if anything changes, it'll automatically fix it and stay up. I got hair from the dog. I'm sorry. But I use Excel for everything. American Mom, well, you're welcome. Glad you enjoyed it. With managed payments and taxes not added, only on PayPal. It's across the board from everything I see. Or it will be from the way I understood it. I could be wrong. Again, I didn't read into the whole thing. I just went by what several other people have told me. I'll read into it tomorrow and maybe have something on that. Yeah, no problem, Ed, Sir William. You can email me in Patreon page. I get emails there all the time from folks, and you can also post on the community tab all you want to. I'm terrible on getting back onto the Facebook group, unfortunately. I just don't have time to answer. I'm flooded and inundated with stuff these days. Even people trying to hit me up for sponsors and all this other stuff. I guess once you hit 10,000, they just come out of the woodwork and stuff. Again, I'm not interested in sponsoring anything unless it's something that I use or deal with. I did go back and forth with a couple of things that I do deal with, but at the end, I didn't want to be committed to try and push specific items to somebody if it's not your thing. I feel weird about that. I don't want to be a carny. Again, I'm not trying to criticize anybody. Just not my thing. I'll just leave it at that. Nothing wrong with it at all, because as a business working for somebody else, I did that stuff. So, You know, we did TV commercials and we had sponsors for the restaurant, and we sponsored people as well for advertisements. We did the fire department, police department, things like that. So in fact, Ed, we're working on putting a video together, and I'm gonna change the intro for Patreon so it'll be tagged up there all the time, and it'll have instructions on how to use everything with visual things. It'll be like twice as long as what you see up there now, but we'll have that up there soon. That was the recommendation from Patreon from the last conversation I had. So, Rick Duke, it is scary. Well, I don't know if you don't have an accountant, maybe it might be. I've done my taxes before we have an accountant, so I'm not too worried about the whole part of it, because you're going to be deducting those. As long as you've got your totals to deduct and you're running them from, say, PayPal or whatever the case, wherever you want to use your records from, you shouldn't have any problem. There is a column for sales tax in PayPal. The only thing you'll have to think about, though, is if you're buying from it, it's just going to have a total sales tax line. So you just have to sort out the ones that you are literally buying stuff and paying the sales tax versus that. Because, again, I pay for stuff on other sites with PayPal, because, like, some sites you have to use PayPal. There's a few still out there, believe it or not. Yeah, R&L, I've used them in the past as well, too. It just depends on where you're going. Backhauling has always been a good thing for me. Stefan Love, how are you doing? Hey, Farm Girls, Farm Girl Scavenger Noah, how are you doing? How about shipping vintage typewriters? That's not a problem. They're less than 70 pounds. They'll go in a box. You'll double cardboard them, wrap them in one box, and then wrap them in a second box. Now, I'll wedge stuff in there, too, underneath it so the feet won't. It'll be another piece of cardboard on the feet, because those are your weak points. I pad the heck out of it, and for a typewriter, what I use is the styrofoam peanuts, or I'll use the sheets of styrofoam. First, I'll wrap it up with styrofoam, and then I'll pack in, and I mean pack in. Now, in glassware, I don't pack as tight, but with a typewriter and something heavy, I fill in all that extra space. At the end of the day, when I'm done wrapping a typewriter, I could probably drop it and nothing would happen to it. That's what you want. And between the two boxes, I'll use the styrofoam stuff too, the rolled sheets, or I'll use the peanuts. So it's not a huge ordeal. It doesn't go over the size, and it doesn't go over the weight. Most typewriters are like 40 pounds, depending on how old they are, obviously. You'll have to look into selling them specifically. If I'm going to sell a typewriter, it's got to be worth so much money. I'm not going to sell like a $30 typewriter and have to worry about boxing it up. It's just me. I pass on stuff like that. If it's bigger, and even if I can make decent money, I don't mess with VCRs and all that kind of stuff either. I know there's money in them, but for me, I don't have to worry about electronics. We've pretty much centered in on the vintage, because I just, it's everywhere for me. And people just bring it to me these days. I don't even have to leave the house most of the time. The last two pick jobs, they showed up here because they wanted cash. And one of them literally just bought something, called me, asked me if I wanted it. Told him, come on over, and I ended up with a huge assortment of 45 records that he just picked up like the hour before, so I didn't have to do anything. He instantly had cash. He went back out and bought some more stuff with the cash he got from me for me purchasing off of him for that. So I don't have any problem with stuff like that at all, just FYI. Every time I see a post from you, I ask my husband to let us watch. Well, thank you. Hopefully it's helpful. Again, I don't talk about things I don't know. I don't talk about clothing pretty much and things like that. I do have a haul video with a different style of clothing, which you'll see. It'll be up tomorrow. We went to a new thrift store, me and the wife, so you'll see a thrift shop video coming out tomorrow. We videoed the whole time. No one asked me to stop. There were no signs, so you're going to just see a lot of the stuff. Some of it, a few things there, I already turned the camera off so I could check out their display cabinet. So anyway, you won't see it all in there, but you'll get the gist of the whole ordeal. It'll be a little longer video, because I think we got like 40 minutes of video just in the store, and then the items, and then you can see them in the car, so you know exactly where they came from. But that'll be up tomorrow. Necromat. Yeah, Weebles don't fall down. There's different kinds of Weebles too, if you're not familiar. There's British ones too, which we'll go into as well. Don, do you sell photo slides? Yes. If so, what is the best way to photograph them? I have a light table, and I also have a digitizer for slides. If you're talking about 35 millimeter slides, I have one that holds 5 in a sleeve, and you just slide them into the scanner. With the camera I have, we're now using I have like 3 Nikon D5300s, which we use, and I just got a Nikon 7300 series, and with that I can just hold it over the light table and it takes a real nice picture without doing anything else on it. We've got the macro lens kit and the whole works for it. So either one of those options is what I do for slides. If you don't have the slide scanner, what's the name on it? I think it's a Panasonic. Yeah, it's a Panasonic. I have a Panasonic slide scanner. Literally, it just plugs in with USB, and it does. You has 5, and you have to slide them back and forth. I've never had an issue with anything like that. Light table works just fine too. Let me see here. Bad Dog, how are you doing from Texas? On a multiple collectible item, can you address how eBay buyers see an item? If you put it in 2 categories in your store, please, or should you not list in 2 store categories? I list things in 2 store categories because it doesn't cost you a dime extra. On eBay, I don't pay for 2 categories on eBay ever. I'll never do that. I mean, I don't think I've done that in like 3 or 4 years. What I'll do, let's say I've got 10 postcards, or not, let's not use postcards. Let's say I've got 10 Victorian Christmas cards. I'll put 5 of those in the eBay's category Victorian trade cards, and then I'll put 5 of those in eBay's holiday vintage Christmas pre-1940s Christmas collectibles. And then in my store, they'll go in holiday and they'll go in the trade card as well. Yeah, that's exactly what I'll do with those. So I list 5 in one category and 5 in another if I've got a group of something. And in each listing I have many others up in my store. That way, in both of those 5 listings, it'll direct them to go to the store to check them out. Pull them into your store. Don't tell them anything else. Always tell them you have more in your store. Check out your store. That should be on all your listings. I have many more of these up. I don't care what it is. As long as you've got a few more up, list that you have many more up. You want them to search through your store listings and not through random eBay listings through search results. You want to get them in your store. Window shoppers, you don't want them to be window shoppers. You want them to be in your store, those shoppers specifically. I'm going to go for like 7 to about 10 after, because I do have to, we're meeting somebody today in just a little while after the show, so I will have to cut it down. Hopefully that helps a little bit there, Ed. I'm going to go into that. Just watch the Patreon video. I won't be answering questions till tomorrow morning again. I'll just have enough time to get it up. We have to be somewhere before 9, so tonight. And it's a business-related thing, too. Anyway. Metamucil. I'm not sure if he's Metamucil or not, Ed. I'm not really sure. Matt Horax, how are you doing? I don't have an eBay store yet. I only sell as an individual. What is the advantage of having an eBay store? You get lower fees across the board. That's one of the biggest advantages of having an eBay store. So for us, I pay 5 cents max for a listing over my 10,000. My first 10,000 in an Anchor store costs, I think it's what, $3.98 or $3.95 or $2.95 or $2.98. It's just under $300 a month. You get 10,000 listings included with that price. You get $50 a month basically in free boxes. You get some credits for some other things which I don't use. And then your first 10,000 listings equate to just around 2 cents a piece. So that sure beats spending 35 cents, 25 cents for a listing. So that's one big reason to have a store. And we have 2 stores because we can save and lower that cost even further on the ones over and above the first 10,000 listings. We got like 67,000 listings or something like that right now. Price-wise is the biggest thing for a store, Matt. You save. It's kind of like when you're doing Amazon. You can go and just pay the $1 fee, or you can just set yourself up with the $39.99 business account and you don't pay that $1 fee. It just depends on how much you sell. If you get approved or ungated on Amazon in a category, you have to pay and have a business account, so you're automatically billed for the $39.99 every month anyway. So, for us, it's a joke the amount that we have to pay, because we can list anything we want on Amazon in that area. We're ungated in collectibles, historical, vintage vinyl. We got a ton of categories that I can sell. Everything I almost sell on eBay on Amazon just as well, at least list it just as well. Let's see here. Shipping Sunday, tapping my feet, Marky. Weebles wobbles, but they don't fall down. She's got a large collection. It's not all out, but we do have... let me think here, 30 or 40 feet of shelving with Weebles on it. That's probably a fair estimate. Yeah, you're welcome, Nick or Matt. Nicor Matt. You mentioned Mr. Potato Head a few videos ago. I found a set with its original container, but from 2000. Did you say those are not as valuable? I mess with the ones from the 50s and 60s with Mr. Potato Head, and honestly, there are some collectible versions that are newer, but they're like luxury. I know the Star Wars ones can still sell for a decent money depending on how much you pay for them. The original Mr. Potato Head was you'd take a real potato and you'd stick in the hat and the eyes and all that kind of stuff. And then it came out, I don't know where it's at. I might have had somebody already photograph it and list it. I don't know where mine's at. We've got 3 or 4 of them, but the old ones do not look a thing. They're literally potato shaped, and there was carrots and other vegetables along the lines of characters as well. I want to say there was even a car or something that they had for the original vintage potatoes. I could be wrong on that, but you should be able to find comps, Mary Beth, on the 2000 ones as well. Yeah, my wife is the love of my life besides my kids, Claudette. $20 a month for Worth Point. Yeah, I don't mess with Worth Point. And hello back at you, Mary Beth. You've got lots of local customers. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing on that one there, Ed. Picked up some vintage Christmas Bad Dog cards for pennies. Should I mail same as a letter? Everything I ship is tracked. I don't ship anything untracked. So you have to do first class with tracking. So it's $3.79, I think, is the cheapest one you can do on that. It's just what I've always done for everything. I don't care if I don't get sales on certain things. Now, like on hit postcards or something like that, I just ship the cheap way, in an envelope. And I've shown that in my Patreon videos for those in Patreon. I show you how I ship postcards minus the cardboard without tracking. And I haven't had any issues with that, but on eBay, I want the tracking as it saves us several $1,000s at the end of the year. And it's just better business to have tracking when it's required on eBay. Hey, Miss Mimi, how are you doing? Jim and Julie Mock, welcome you two. I'll hit you back up too, both of you, and we'll see about setting something up, Jim and Julie. The designer store and more. Hello from Denver. I spent some time in Denver. I just picked up a die cut and trade card scrapbook. I'm excited to get into it. I would leave it whole personally. I don't really mess with anything unless it's all ready to go. If you start cutting them up, you could have some problems with it. Somebody could cherry pick what you got out of there, and then you're going to get stuck if you price it wrong. I would really look into what you got in the book before you do anything. I heard people say steam it and do all this other stuff. You're going to end up ruining it, in all honesty. Their printing technology is not made for that sort of thing. So stamp-wise, you can steam off, but I don't do that either. I use something called hydrotetrachloride for postage stamps, but I wouldn't do that with anything printed with ink and cards. My personal opinion, I've got sources for everything, so I don't have to go certain routes. We've got, I don't know how many trade card scrapbooks here, but I'm working on a price guide book of some sorts for that as well. So I want to keep copies of images of cards, just my personal thing. Did my feed just disappear? Oh, hang on, my feed's gone. My feed just popped up. Oh, I see you've got a... Well, thank you very kindly, Carolina Pix. Hopefully I didn't miss that and hadn't been up there for a little while. Thank you very kindly for the super chat. Always appreciated. And Sir William, thank you very kindly as well. Ed, I really appreciate the $10 super chat. It's not required. I don't require anybody to do that. I do appreciate it. It does help us. I put a lot of time in. I know people say you're just showing this. It's no big video. It doesn't take much. One of these days I'll do a video on how long it takes you to put a video together. Just to do the credits for like the end credits for my videos, it takes like, if I got to add one name, and I've just talked about this, and I told the wife I'm just going to do a video, for at least for the Patreon. It takes like 20 minutes almost to do one name change in the end credit, because you got to do a whole bunch of stuff to do it. Like editing videos and just lining up the stuff that you see in the videos takes some time. The time, and then plus if the video's 20 minutes, I probably recorded 40. I've messed up and you cut this out and things like that. They're all edited and stuff like that. So I got a lot of time in this. So if somebody says this isn't work, this does take time. But again, I love talking about antiques. Let's pop down here because my feed just disappeared. Let me see where we're at. I'm going to have to cut it off in just a couple minutes here, and I don't want to do that, but in fact, it's already past the time, so any minute the wife's going to come down and wonder what I'm doing. Again, if I didn't call you out, I do apologize. For me, we've got some stuff that has to be done today. It's going to be a big deal for us. It could mean some more content. Anyway, and Ed's coming up here too as well. We've got that going on. I think in 10 more days we'll be shooting with Ed. I've got permission in some stores around here, so we're going to show you that. I may take you inside a record shop if I can get the okay from the owner. They own several around here, so we're going to show you some other things here, some field trips. So I got the bottle video, which you'll see tomorrow's a haul video at a new thrift store here in town. Bottle video, Weebles video. Christmas video coming out for the Art Channel. The Art Channel 2, you're going to see the whole molding process on the Art Professor. It's already done, already shot. We already poured the molds, melted everything. Sterling's coming. But the next big one after this one on the Art Professor is going to be the first part of the Christmas series. And I'm going to go into some really detail. You're going to see how to make Dresden birds and things like that. And we're going to show you step by step and the whole process here on stuff like that too. So if you're interested in seeing stuff and learning how to make stuff to make some money, we're going to start doing, at least 1 or 2 videos every week on the other channel as well. Every Sunday I work on art here. That's a couple hours maybe on eBay, and then the rest of the day is art projects or something with the family. That's what I do, and I've done that for months and months and months on end. So I've got a lot of content. I just got to put together, edit, and things like that too. So anyway, I'm going to have to cut everybody off. I do apologize. You guys know I usually talk well through the end, and usually a 2-hour show. Unfortunately, today I do have some other things. We almost didn't go live just because of what's going on, but we figured we'd get it out there since I couldn't announce that we weren't coming off. We weren't going to be doing a live. So anyway, I thank everybody for coming on. I'll try and get back in and check if there's any other questions at the end. You can always put any questions or comments down in the comment section. If you didn't hit the thumbs up yet, please hit that thumbs up for us. It really helps the channel. I appreciate everybody, and thank you for coming on tonight.